Hey folks, welcome back to Shop Time. Patrick Tipton working on the 43 Willys MB tub. So one of my big criticisms when I watch these videos is that all the magic happens off screen. So somebody starts off with a project, things start looking ugly, then the next thing you know it's all perfect and it's getting painted. I'm going to show you today, we're going to replace a little section of metal. So we're going to cut out a hole, put some new metal in it, we're going to weld it in, and I'm going to show you every step of the process. So we'll go from wholly rusty metal to finished, ready for paint metal, but I'm going to show you everything. We'll speed a lot of sections up so that we don't bore you, but that's the goal today, so come along. So step one of the process is to decide where you're going to cut out. It's a lot easier to make a square cut. So I'm taking a straight edge here and a Sharpie, and I'm marking my cut lines. Now mind you, there is a hat channel behind this that probably needs a little love as well. And I thought about removing the hat channel, but I think once this tub is on the rotisserie that I'm going to be able to repair this hat channel in place. If I don't like it, I'll take it out. I'll drill the spot welds out and take it off and replace it. But it doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing today. And not having access to the backside doesn't really matter. It means that I can't clean the welds up with the grinder, but it's going to look just fine. I'm really worried about the outside here and making sure that we get good welds. Here I'm taking my angle grinder and I'm cutting along my lines. Here I'm using my little air tool to clean up the edges and make sure that the metal is nice and square and polished and ready to receive the welds. Next step is to take and cut some 18 gauge steel in the pattern. Now that the metal's been cut, I'm fitting it into place here. Some people like to use standoffs and leave a little space between the two pieces of metal that you're welding together. Personally, I don't find this works as well as trying to get the tightest butt you possibly can. You need to make sure your MIG welder, if you're using a MIG welder, is set up correctly so that you can get good penetration with this, but I find that the end result looks a lot better if you butt it up as tight as you can get it. Okay, I'm happy with the fit at this point, so now I'm going to tack the corners in place with my MIG welder. In this case, I know that 4 wire speed and 4 on the amperage is going to be great for the little tack welds that I'm doing here. So I'm using magnets to hold the piece in place and tacking the corners. Second tack. I'm just going to do a series of tacks every inch or so to try to keep this from distorting at all or warping. And then I'll start overlaying each tack a little on the one before it until I've got a continuous weld bead all the way around. The weld bead looks pretty good. Again, if I had access to the back, I would shine a light and try to cover up any holes, but I think it's time to grind. So I like to start off with the relatively coarse angle grinder on that 4.5-inch grinder, angle it sideways and take the tops down, but I don't want to hit any of the metal because you can put a gash in this pretty quickly that becomes hard to repair. Now that I've knocked all the high spots off, I'm using the smaller one with a 60 grit wheel here to finish it out. Inspect the weld. There are a couple places here that need fill-ins, so back to the MIG welder. All right, folks, that turned out pretty well. As you saw, we had a couple of little troubles with my MIG welder. The liner is a little sticky and needs to be replaced. I bought that thing off of Craigslist a while ago, and I don't know how old it is. It works great, but it does stick a little bit. So got to replace the liner. So that made some of the welding a little less than ideal. And then I ran out of the 40 grit sanding disc that I need to really get everything fine-tuned. But it really came out very well. And I might have to fill a couple of little small holes that were rust holes from before and a couple of spots that I may have missed. But I think this is going to be an invisible repair, which is the goal. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And Patrick Tipton signing off. Keep those corners square and get out in your shop and get your hands dirty. Thanks.